Inshallah, today we'll be reciting Surah Yasin on behalf of those who sponsor today's dinner, the Badi' family. Inshallah, we ask Allah to accept this and have mercy on the departed souls of their beloved ones. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إن جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم أتبع المرسلين أتبع من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دوني آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل أدخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جامع لدينا محضرون وآيات لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجن منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلن فيها جنة من نخيل وأعناب وفجرن فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآيات لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآيات لهم أن حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقن لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آيات من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جامع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين ونعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون أصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولن يروا أن خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولن يرى الإنسان أن خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقا قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. For the departed souls of all those who are present here today and for the Badi' family, please recite the Fatiha with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Said here? Okay. And without further ado, we would like to welcome our distinguished speaker for the third night of our Fatemiyyah program, Sayyid Abbas Razavian, with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us with another chance and opportunity to be together and to remember Sayyidat Nisa al-Ahl al-Jannah, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, the best of ladies of creation. And we gave the hadith, those that were here last night, that there is a specific emphasis on the remembrance of Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. This can be due to the fact that it is very impactful in our lives. It is a big change that happens when we remember Lady Fatima alayhi salam. There's a lot of barakat when you mention the life of this holy lady, when you just mention her holy name. And also this can be due to the fact that there was a lot of strife to try to erase her from history, especially the actions, the stance that she took. And we will talk about this inshallah at the end. But the stance that she took, it is in such a way that, people did not at first include Ali ibn Abi Talib even amongst the Khulafa. When you look at the Umayyads, they did not accept him. For tens of years he was cursed. So there was what they call as tathlith, only accepting the first three Khulafa. They didn't even accept Ali. Then later on, when they incorporated him, they tried to whitewash this whole incident. They wanted to say that everything was okay and that Ali was satisfied with what happened with the first Khalifa and what happened. So when you talk about the stance of Lady Fatima alayhi salam, when you look at the hadith, and maybe if we have time, we'll go over some of the hadith in Sahihain, it's very clear that there was this dissatisfaction of her with the newly established government of the time. And recorded in her khutbahs is that she, when we'll read some of it inshallah if we have time, directly talks about this being usurped. And sometimes you cannot talk about this, so the stance she took is so strong that even today, 1400 years later, when you want to say about what she did, sometimes you even have to censor it. But imagine being there 1400 years ago with a newly established government, an 18-year-old daughter of Rasulullah, how difficult it was for her to do this. And books of history testify, Ansab al-Ashraf, Baladhuri, Kitab al-Amwal, they all talk about the fact of Ihraq al-Bayt, setting a fire of the door of the house of Lady Fatima. They talk about the Madhlumiyat of Lady Zahra. They talk about admitting that وَدَدْتُ أَنِّي لَمْ أَكْشَفْ بَيْتَ فَاطِمَةَ, I wish I did not open the door of Fatima, break open to that house. These are all realities, and we'll talk about this, about some of the hikmah, because Lady Fatima alayhi salam is truly a Hikmah. Her speech in Fadak we'll mention if we have time again. I don't know how much time we'll have. Beautifully defining who Allah is. Something for us that we take granted these days. When you have so many weak hadith and made up hadith about who God is. And Lady Fatima alayhi salam beautifully giving us and granting us tawheed and the oneness of God, how it is. So many people are confused about who God is. They came to Imam Rida alayhi salam in a time period, Saflana Rabbak, explain to us your Lord. They were confused because of all these made up hadith about tawheed. Lady Fatima alayhi salam is truly a Hikmah. The way she speaks, we talked about when a person has Hikmah, Allah gives us Hikmah in their lisan, in their tongue. And when they talk with Hikmah. And we define Hikmah, even though when you look at the books of tafsir, it's a little difficult to find a good definition for the word Hikmah, because it has been used in different cases, throughout the Quran. But from one of the ulama in Mufassirin, he says it's equal to adl. equal to putting things in the right position. But you could say this and add this, putting things in the right position that they belong to maximize benefit. That is what a Hakim person does. He sets things up correctly for those things to reach maximal benefit. For example, we gave this, that Allah gives people sickness, Allah gives people wealth, Allah gives people poverty, Allah gives people health. Now, I'm not talking about those actions that are a direct result of our free will and choices. That's something else, because when you do something to yourself, then you're at blame. But those things that there's no way out, there's no way out. He has the best business plan in the world. He just cannot, it's not made for him to make a lot of money. There are diseases that there's no way out. There's no cure for it. And they observed they were healthy people and it just comes. So Hakim, Allahu al-Hakim, He is Hakim, He is wise. He gives everybody that amount that they need in order to reach their maximization, reach their most amount of taqarrub. Some maybe it's with poverty they reach more taqarrub, closeness to God. Some with being rich, some with being healthy, some with being sick. This is what Allah does. So if you want to understand how Allah treats His humans, you have to understand hikmah and the wisdom of Allah. You cannot just look at these actions and say everything has to have i'tidal equally. Allah, why did you not give him the equal as him? Everybody should start with the same amount of money. Everybody should start with the same amount of, nobody should have disadvantages in this world. Everybody should start exactly equal. Well, that's looking at this world without being Hakim. If you want to understand your Lord, you have to have hikmah and understand that each individual is different. Each one has its own requirements. Each one, we talked about that's hadith, that people are so different that if you were truly to understand people, you wouldn't blame them for anything. You wouldn't blame them. Because each person has their own background. Each person is unique. And Allah only knows exactly how to treat each person. He gives them some amount of bala, but not too much. Not so much that they will completely lose it or completely be able to separate themselves from God. They'll give them in a way that they can tolerate it. Each person will be giving their amount of rizq and health and everything according to what he sees is going to be the best test for them. So Allah is Hakim, and His speech, the Quran, is Hakim. Say Quran, Hakim. There's wisdom in it. The Quran is wisdom. When you think of the Quran, and you really think that, when you read the Quran, this is the speech of Allah to you. The hadith has that fadlul Quran, the virtue of the Quran upon other speech is like the virtue of God amongst creation. How high is God compared to creation? And so is the Quran compared to other speech and other books. Well, when you look at the Quran, there's a lot of hikmah. The wise way that Allah decided to incorporate things inside the Quran. In a beautiful way, that's wisdom. In a way that even when a non-Muslim listens to the Quran, he's intrigued. It sounds beautiful for them, right? There is nur in the Quran. There's light in the Quran. This is part of Allah's wisdom. And when you see important and sensitive things like wilayat of Ahlul Bayt, it's very interesting. If you don't understand wisdom, you might not understand why, for example, the exact names of the Imams are not in the Quran. Some ask maybe why the name of directly Ali, Hassan, Hussein, and the other Imams are not inside the Quran. You will not understand this because Allah is Hakim, He's wise. When you look at 33, it says Ahlul Bayt. Doesn't specifically say who. But how do we know who Ahlul Bayt are? Allah makes it clear. Rasulullah made it clear. But it's specifically not in the Quran for a wise reason. Or when you look at 555 about wilayat of Ali and doing in ruku', there's not a specific name there. But again, you look at the hadith and it's very clear Rasulullah had that it's Ali ibn Abi Talib. Or when you look at Mubahila, for example, and you see 361, that, sons and Nisa, women, and yourselves. It doesn't say the names. But it's very clear in hadith, Shia, Sunni hadith, everyone says the Prophet of Islam brought these people. So when you understand the hikmah of Allah, well look at what happened. Ghadir happened 3 months, around a few months before Rasulullah passed away. One of the few days before Rasulullah passed away, he asked them to bring him something, a pen, so that he can write for them something that people will never be led astray. And they didn't even allow that. The same followers, they would not. They say that this Prophet is speaking nonsense. So given this Ghadir, which was so clear, and they left Ghadir alone, Hadith al-Ghadir, 3 months before. Given the fact that he went to write for them something that they will not be led astray, and they stopped him. So would Allah bring specific names in the Quran? So then, even though he promised that he would be lahafidun, they would protect the Quran, Allah will protect the Quran so they can change the Quran. Allah's wisdom was that He wanted, you can say one answer, Allah wanted the Quran to be preserved. And if you bring specific names, maybe then they'll take that out. But it's Allah's wisdom today, Shia, Sunni, everybody, we have the same Quran. Wahhabi, Salafi, Sufi, Shia. We all have the same Quran. The Quran was preserved through the wisdom of Allah. But it's clear that those verses, 33, 555, 361, different verses that we prove the imamat of Imam Ali, are proved through the hadith, and very clear there. So the Quran is preserved, but that message is still out there for those that want to get guidance. So you understand the hikmah of Allah. Not everything has to be very clear for you, brothers and sisters. Allah has many things that are hidden, mysterious for you. There's a lot of mystery when it comes to God. And actually this mystery is something that is very intriguing for us. To know Allah, to know what He wants. To sometimes know, is He punishing me here? Or is He actually not punishing me here? I don't know. It takes wisdom. So if we do not understand, if we do not have hikmah, we will not understand how the entire system works, how Allah treats us, how Allah sends prophets, how Allah has books, how we could understand the Holy Quran. I said this a few nights ago. Does anybody understand here, will they go to heaven or hell? Does anybody right now can guarantee or present to me go out of hell free card here? Does anybody have such a card? Does anybody is guaranteed that they'll go into heaven? No. Nobody knows. Because Allah is Hakim. Allah doesn't want you to know. Sometimes we're not wise, we're foolish, we always give the answer. And I joked about this a few nights ago. If I had the answer and I knew everyone is going to heaven and hell, I would be so excited, especially heaven. I would go and tell, oh, look, you're going to heaven here. I couldn't, because I'm not wise. But Allah is wise because He doesn't want people to stop trying. If you knew you're going to heaven, would you work as hard still? Or would you go on a little vacation first when you get your card? And you say, oh, I'm a little tired, of this ubudiyat. Let me take a little vacation, come back, inshallah, a few years. Or if not, na'udhu billah, someone understands they're going to hell, would they keep trying? So why am I going to try as hard? I'm already going to hell no matter what. So you see that it's from the hikmah of Allah that when He deals with His abd and ibad, that He doesn't tell them everything. Everything's not very clear for them. And it's a way that they have to discover themselves. They have to look at signs. We call this ta'reed sometimes, you could say. Not tasrih. Tasrih is to be very clear. Ta'reed is like to show something, to point out a little bit, to allude to it. And you know what's happening. Allah wants us to have hikmah. Allah wants us to discover and be independent. Doesn't want us to be dependent on others. It's very interesting when you look at how much responsibility He gave us. From the age of taklif, when a child has taklif, he has that position or he has that authority to believe or not believe. It doesn't rely on the parents anymore. When they have taklif, when they reach an age where they have taklif. And from then on, you see that the instructions of Islam is in such a way that Allah wants to make us independent. Allah wants us to reach hikmah ourselves, not necessarily from our parents, not necessarily from one person or the other. He wants everyone to make this decision by themselves. Imagine you live during the time of the Prophet of Islam, and a person comes, and his name is Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And he claims to be a prophet. You're maybe 15, 16, 17, 20, whatever age you are. You have to then decide yourselves, is he a prophet or is he not a prophet? You have to be able to find the instance of prophethood yourself. You can read as much as you want about prophethood, but you have to know the signs. Some of the ways is you knew the signs, you have knowledge, and that's part of hikmah. I knew a prophet was going to come. I'm looking at other contexts, the way that he behaves, his akhlaq, his message. I'm studying all of this. I'm looking at his followers. I look at Ali ibn Abi Talib as the first believer. He's following him, and I trust Ali alayhi salam. I look at that miracle that he's bringing, and he's bringing the Quran, and no one else can bring it, and challenge the Quran. So I have to use my own wisdom during that time and to be able to understand the instance or the mistaq during the time of Imam al-Zaman, Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajah, the same way. Some people ask, how will I know it's the Imam? Inshallah, we live during the time that we have the opportunity when we see someone and he claims he is the Mahdi, and he is the Mahdi. You cannot rely on, just whatever your parents say or whatever someone else says. That is an individual choice. Then inshallah by that time you have increased your wisdom so much that you are so independent and so strong and be able to decipher haqq and batil so much that you'll be able to say, yes, this is the son of Imam Askari alayhi salam. This is him. These are the signs. This is the knowledge that I have. In my heart, as also we talked about hikmah amali, my heart is pushing me towards this person. I talked about this, and I'll say it here again, that during the time of the Rasulullah, a group of people came to understand who the successor of the Prophet was in the book of Ghaybatun Nu'mani. A group of worshippers that came from Yemen, and they were Abbas, they were worshippers, true worshippers. The Prophet of Islam told them, when they asked the question, who is your successor? He told them the general things, general knowledge, which is good. It's part of, you could say, hikmah nadariya. He gave them theoretical hikmah. But they wanted to know exactly who is the successor, what is the instance. And this is where you need practical hikmah. This is where you need hikmah amaliyah. How do I know this is the successor, this instance? So they went and walked through the rows, the Prophet of Islam. They came back and they told the Prophet, this person is your successor. This is in the book Ghaybatun Nu'mani. And the Prophet, I believe, asked, how? How do you know? And they explained to him that this person was like our father. It's Ali ibn Abi Talib. This person, we saw him like our father. So that's not something that's from the heart. And that is where hikmah stems from, is from the heart. So this is our father. And then they mentioned that we wanted to go, our knees would not allow us to. So for us, when you look at the narrations, you're looking to strengthen yourself and increase yourself in wisdom of the mind and hikmah of the heart. And we will need it. It is very important, we said, to do tashkhis of mistaq, to understand what an instance of dhulm is. We need hikmah. I know dhulm, I know it's bad, something is wrong. I know, for example, doing this and doing this is haram. But what should I do right now? I have two questions, or two options. Both of them are good. But which one is aham? Which one is more appropriate for me? That's up to me. That's not up to you, up to the office of your marja taqleed anymore. That's up to you. You can get guidance from them and understand Islam and see aham and muhim. But those specific things in your individual life that every day you're making how many decisions each day, that you can't keep calling the office all the time. That they will give you the guidelines from the hadith and sunnah. But that tashkhis of the mistaq, that example, you have to find out for yourself. You have to have enough hikmah. When you're in a gathering and you want to talk or you want to be silent, is that up to you? Or is that up to, all the books that you read? That is going to be a hikmah from their heart, hikmah from the aql, from your mind, that you have developed time after time and after many years, that you have become wise. You know how to act with someone. You know how to react in an instance. These are all a part of hikmah and being hakim. And things, brothers and sisters, trials and tribulations, when they happen so fast. You just don't have time to ask people. Islam, we said, it wants you to ask people. You should know, you should have knowledge. But that final decision is you. Nobody else can make a decision but you. In the religion of Islam, they want us to make that decision. We have to make that decision. Nobody else can decide for us. So therefore, there's no other choice but to increase ourselves in hikmah and wisdom to be successful, inshallah. So how can we increase our hikmah? We were talking about this. We talked about hikmah being awareness and nadariya being, theoretical. And that comes from learning and studying from those that have hikmah. The Quran is full of hikmah, is full of wisdom. The Quran is the speech of God. Whoever has uns with the Quran, whoever has an affinity, an attachment to the Quran, they will have hikmah, they have wisdom. The Quran is full of hikmah. If you study the Quran, it's full of hikmah. Who else has hikmah that we can learn and study from them? The prophets, their successors. In Nahjul Balagha, the short sayings are called hikmah. When you study hadith, when you study the lives of the imams, their seerah, when you look at what Lady Fatima alayhi salam did, her life is full of hikmah. When you look at the strategy of Ali ibn Abi Talib as Amir al-Mu'mineen, as the caliph of the time, at that time, how he was successful, that is all part of hikmah. We talked about understanding the time, and the more you understand and study things well, the more you will make your choices will not be full of mistakes. You'll make less mistakes. Some people, they have a lot of knowledge, but when it comes to practice in either in politics or social affairs, they make mistakes because they didn't study the time period. They don't understand what's going on. We have to be aware. We have to be aware of the time. We have to be aware of people. Then you'll have, awareness, inshallah. Then the other part of hikmah we said, which was besides awareness, is from the heart. And how can we increase hikmah from the heart? When I'm saying this, I'm not a hakim person. I'm a foolish person. I'm not a wise person. But I've read some verses of Quran and some hadith, and I can present it, inshallah, for you. Man akhlasa abdun lillahi azza wa jal arba'ina sabahan illa jarad yanabi ul hikmah min qalbihi ala lisaneh. Whoever for 40 days worships Allah with ikhlas, with sincerity, then he will see hikmah coming out from his tongue, from his speech. So from worship of Allah, sincere worship of Allah, doing things, submitting to Him, we will have hikmah. Al-hikmah wa diddaha al-hawa. The opposite of hikmah in this hadith isn't foolishness, isn't being safi, for example. The opposite of hikmah here is hawa in hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Aqlib ash-shahwa takmul laka al-hikmah. Conquer your vain desire and wisdom will be perfected. I'm not at the level to tell you to, there are better speakers than me, people that practice more than me that can talk about conquering the vain desires, hawa nafs. But I can tell you this, that all our prescriptions in Islam and the commands in Islam are in a way to tame the nafs. Submission means to tame the nafs. All of your wajibat, things that are haram. Sometimes there's fruit, it's nice juicy meat. It says don't eat it, it's haram. Or it's Shahr Ramadan, you're thirsty. You all have practice fighting against the nafs because Islam's instructions is all against the nafs. It's all against fighting against ourselves and reaching maslahat and good. So the more that you practice this beautiful religion, is the more, and you don't even think about it, the more you're fighting against your urges, the less likely you'll lead yourself into addiction, and the more hikmah you'll have. But as long as what? You practice with sincerity. You truly practice Islam. You don't play with Islam. Those things, you take the verses, the commands, and you put it all into practice. You don't pick and choose. You act in Islam in all matters. Even if it means in some business deals you make less money. Even if it means sometimes some people will be upset with you. But when you submit to Allah, it means you choose Allah over people's satisfaction, over your hawa, over your nafs. The Quran has أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Then this part, وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ. Have you not seen that person that takes his God at his own desires? And Allah has sent him astray due to knowledge. So Allah is saying when someone acts upon their hawa, He leads them astray. He will not have hikmah anymore. So you see this constant struggle behind fighting at the nafs and doing and submitting to God and trying to be free and to do whatever you want in the realm of submission and ubudiyyat and the result. So when you look at these hadith, in reality what we're learning is that Islam should have benefits for us. And if you do not see these benefits, then there's probably something wrong. Because this is what it should produce. It should produce a wise person. It should produce a hakim person. If a person truly fights against their nafs and desires. We are encouraged so much to fight against our desires, to submit, and to our heart to be full of hikmah. So much that one of the verses in the Quran talk about when the Prophet passes judgment. There are two types of people. One person, the Prophet passes a judgment, they approve of it, they accept. But in their heart, they're bothered. They didn't really like it. It was against their benefit. Even though Rasulullah did it. Rasulullah passes that judgment, that means Allah passes that judgment. Something happens, there's a judgment or a saying or to do something, and you can say in this verse, they accept. Okay, Rasulullah said it, okay, I accept. But their hearts are not in line. Their heart that has hikmah is completely submissive to what Rasulullah says. Look at the verse. فَلَا وَرَبَّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. But not by your Lord. They will not truly believe. You're not a true mu'min, it says. You're not a true believer. Until they make you, O Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, judge concerning that over which they dispute amongst themselves, and then find within themselves no discomfort for what you have judged. There is no haraj, there's no discomfort from what Rasulullah has judged. Some people can accept, but their heart has discomfort. It was against my interest. I was judged. And this is the same hakim heart that Imam Zaman Ajalata Faraja wants. That when he gives commands, yes, there are those that say, yes, they'll do. But what he truly wants, which is higher than this, is someone that is very happy and that does not have discomfort from those difficult orders of the Imam. They say, Imam Zaman says this. That's exactly what I want. My will is Imam Zaman's will. I change my will into what Allah wants. And that's what ubudiyyat is, the essence of it. Is that a person practices so much that at the end their will is exactly what Allah wants. There's no more will for themselves. That's what an abd is. There's no more will for themselves. It's what Allah wants because they trust Him so much. They know what Allah wants is khair. They know what Allah wants is good. He has knowledge. He is knowledge. So therefore you see that a hakim person, a heart that is full of iman, will be a heart that submits to the judgments of Rasulullah, the Imams, without any difficulty, and they'll actually be happy, even if it is against them. Even if it's against them. Now that's hard. So we have to work on our hearts. We have to work on ourselves to bring that level of hikmah. I'm going to end. We're running out of time. This is a topic that we can talk about more of. But what are one of the secrets of gaining hikmah? So I said, in the heart, fighting against the nafs, submitting, having taqwa, all of these causes hikmah of the heart. And the result is a heart that submits completely to the will of God. But there are secret ways to get hikmah. There's always, alhamdulillah, shortcuts in Islam, alhamdulillah. Things that are a little bit easier, more attractive for us. And I'll read the hadith for you first, and I want you to distinguish what it is. Man ahabbana ahl al-bayt, from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Man ahabbana ahl al-bayt wa haqqaqa hubbana fi qalbih jara yanabi'ul hikmah ala lisanih. Whoever loves us, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, Allah will pass through his tongue's hikmah. The love of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam causes hikmah. Loving Ahlul Bayt. This is in Mahasin from Imam Sadiq or from Rasulullah. Man arad al hikmah falyuhib Ahlul Bayti. Whoever wants hikmah, love my Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because they are the Hakim. They have knowledge. They have wisdom. When your heart aligns with them, you start to learn from them. You study their sayings. You practice what they taught. And when your heart is full of the love of Ali and Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Lady Fatima alayhi salam, slowly your heart starts to become like them. There's synchronization. They say the best companions of Imam Zaman are those that are the most similar to Imam Zaman. There's sinqiyat between them and the Imam. The best companions of Imam Zaman, the best way to reach and become close to Imam Zaman is to be tahir, to be pure. Because he is tahir. The verse of tathir is for Ahlul Bayt. When you are pure, then you will be able to connect to Imam Zaman. Your heart will attach to Imam Zaman, to Ahlul Bayt. And you will retrieve hikmah from them. And you will become wise. So this is one of the ways that we look at hikmah. And I'm going to give you the example of Lady Fatima alayhi salam. And the hikmah of Lady Fatima. That she made this stance. That it made for history very clear. If anybody wanted to whitewash history and say Ali was with us, Fatima is with us, in major books, most books, it's actually the opposite. You see the speech of the sermon of Fadak, how beautifully she says this and how strongly, because she is Hakim. She says, rather, you hasten to take the reins of the caliphate into your hands. After having acquired it, the caliphate, you started to ignite the fire of mutiny and you became engrossed in inciting the fire. You responded to the call of Satan, the seducer, and you intended to put out the light of the glorious religion. You started to destroy the practices of the chosen prophet. Then you delighted in suckling the delicacies of the caliphate and opposed the Ahlul Bayt in secret and in the open. Very clear that what they are doing is wrong, that they are usurping. 3 hadith, it's a triangle that she leaves us with. If anybody wants to know what was the position of Lady Fatima, from these 2 sides, the system of caliphate or the system of imamat, it's very clear. She is Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. She is she is the highest in terms of paradise and position. Everyone says in Bukhari. Man mata maytatan jahiliyyah, whoever doesn't understand their imam dies the death of an ignorant person, dies the death of someone in jahiliyyah, not an ignorant person, dies the death of a mushrik, you could say. So put these 2 hadiths together so far. Lady Fatima is the highest of ladies in heaven. In Sahih hadith from Ahlul Sunnah, from Bukhari. Lady Fatima, and whoever does not choose the Imam of the age, dies jahiliyyah, dies as a mushrik. So who did she choose as the caliph of her time? Who did she choose as the imam of her time? So you put these two together. Can she make a mistake when it comes to imamat? No way. Because she is far away from jahiliyyah. She's far away from shirk. Rasulullah teaches us that she has the highest position of all the ladies. She has the highest position. So let's see what Lady Fatima did. And again, in Bukhari, you say very clearly that the first says, Abba Falani and yadfa ila Fatima minha shay. فَوَجَدَتْ Fatima ala, Falani. She became angry. فَوَجَدَتْ ala in Arabic means to become angry. She became angry with him. Min dhalik فَهَجَرَتْهُ, and didn't have anything to do with him. فَلَمْ تُكَلِّمْهُ حَتَّى تُوَفِّيَتْ, and did not speak to him until she died. So how could the first be her imam when she becomes angry with him? 1. 2, she does not have anything to do with him. And 3, does not speak to him until she dies. So for us, she leaves this, you could say, strong evidence that the way to follow from the process of elimination, that the system of caliphate is not right. The system of caliphate is not what she has chosen. And this is what we choose. We choose whoever she chose as her imam, we choose as our imam. And then it continues, it says, فَلَمَّا تُوَفِّيَتْ, this is from Bukhari. فَلَمَّا تُوَفِّيَتْ دَفَنَهَا عَلِيُّ بْنُ أَبِي طَالِبٍ لَيْلًا, says. And when she died, Ali condemned the lights. Ali alayhi salam buried her at night because this was her will. دَفِنِّي فِي اللَّيْلِ, and do not tell anybody. And then it says, وَكَانَ لِعَلِي مِنَ النَّاسِ وَجْهٌ حَيَاةَ فَاطِمَةٍ, and Ali had a wajh, had a specific position, had honor amongst the people when Fatima alayhi salam was alive. But after Lady Fatima was martyred, Ali alayhi salam was devastated. Lady Fatima, Sayyidah Fatima, is Laylatul Qadr, is the night of destiny. فَمَنْ عَرَفَ فَاطِمَةَ حَقَّ مَعْرِفَتِهَا فَقَدْ أَدْرَكَ لَيْلَةَ الْقَدْرِ. Whoever knows Fatima, the essence of Lady Fatima, the reality of Lady Fatima, has understood the night of Qadr. How is Lady Fatima like the night of Qadr, like the night of destiny? The night of Qadr, its worth is not clear for us. It says, خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ, over 1,000 nights. And Lady Fatima alayhi salam doing things and giving actions and gifting it to her in the same way is like Laylatul Qadr. It's multiplied. Laylatul Qadr is not known exactly what night it is. Is it the 19th, 21st, and 23rd? Also, Lady Fatima, her position for us is not known. Where she is buried is not known. Where her grave is today, if you were to go to Medina right now, you don't even know where to go to do ziyarat of her. Should I go to Baqi? Even the demolished graves of Ahlul Bayt of Imam Hassan, she does not even have one of these demolished graves. She does not have anything like Imam Hassan. Who's more madloom than Imam Hassan is the mother of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. She is like Laylatul Qadr because Laylatul Qadr elevates people. The night of destiny elevates people. And we have وَسَأَلْتَ مِنْهَا أَنْوَارَ الْأَئِمَّةِ, and the light of A'immah came from her. Asma bint Umays comes, is the few last moments of Lady Fatima's life alayhi salam. And with that state that she had, with the injuries that she had, multiple injuries, being crushed between the door and wall brings much injuries. having a broken rib causes much injuries. It says, she made a dua. This is the last dua of Lady Fatima alayhi salam. فقالت إلهي وسيدي أسألك بالذين اصطفيتهم وبكاء ولدي. I ask you, O Allah, that position those that you have chosen, and the tears of my son, waladi, fi mufarigati, when I will be separated from them. I ask because of the tears of Hassan, I ask because of the tears of Hussein, holy tears. أن تغفر لأصاة شيعتي, to forgive the sinful of my Shia. This was the dua of your mother Zahra. Whoever loves Imam Hussein can call Lady Zahra her mother. If you love Imam Hussein's mother becomes your mother. أن تغفر لأصاة شيعتي, forgive the sinners of my Shia. وشيعة ذريتي, and the Shia of my progeny. Imam Ali alayhi salam would see Lady Fatima alayhi salam. It's a difficult time for him. It is the last moments of the life of Sayyidah Fatima. وَلَقَدْ كُنْتُ أَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهَا فَتَنْكَشِفُ عَنِّي الْهُمُومِ وَالْأَحْزَانِ. When I would look at her, my grief would disappear. But now when I see Sayyidatun Nisa, I see her body, her bruised body. I am full of grief. My days, as Fatima says too, my days have become night, and it's the same way with Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because Ali alayhi salam sees, and he was there when they entered her house. And now that he has to bury Lady Fatima alayhi salam, it is a very ghareeb funeral. She did not have a funeral, you could say. Who's there to bury her? A few companions, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Imam Ali, Salman, a few companions. Imam Ali alayhi salam is gently putting her in the grave. His tears are flowing. And as it has in some of the hadith, أخلصت Fatima, أخلصت, she has been snatched away from me. She has been taken away from me. It doesn't mean you give her away. It means she has been taken away from me. And there at that time you see that when he mentions in Nahj al-Balagha, he talks to the Prophet of Islam that, "Oh Rasulullah, I'm giving back to you your wadi, I'm giving back to you your trust. You trusted me with Zahra when I married her. I'm giving back the trust to you. But don't ask me what happened to her. I cannot tell you, Rasulullah, what happened to her. I cannot even mention it. Ask her herself when she comes to you in the other world. Ask her what happened to her." And this was the thorn in Imam Ali's throat. This is what hurt Ali ibn Abi Talib, his test. That Az-Zahra alayhi salam was taken away from him, was taken away from Hassan and Hussein and Lady Zainab and Kulthum. Soon it will be Lady Zainab alayhi salam that will have to fulfill the role of her mother in Karbala. She will be wearing something similar to the chador and the dress of her mother in Karbala. Soon she will be saying, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in the same way this brother and sister that had such a tragic memory of their mother being taken away. Now Lady Zainab, Wala yawmaka yawmaka ya Aba Abdullah, she will be saying on the day of Ashura, goodbye to her beloved Hussein alayhi salam, when she sees the butchered body of Ibn Zahra, the son of Zahra, on the deserts of Karbala, not given water to him, his headless body, murammelun bid-dima, twisted in blood in Karbala. There she says, Ya Muhammadah, she claims and cries, Ya Muhammadah, and calls the companions of Muhammad. There Lady Zainab fulfilled the role of Lady Zahra in Karbala. Ya Allah, we ask because of the name of Lady Zahra alayhi salam to give us hikmah, inshallah, to give us wisdom, practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge. Give us more love for Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Make our hearts burn for Fatima Zahra. Make our children's heart burn for Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. May we get granted her ziyarat and inshallah her shafa'at, inshallah. May we be granted the hayat that Lady Fatima had, the wisdom that Lady Fatima had, the munajat and speaking to God and worship that Lady Fatima alayhi salam had, the courage that Lady Fatima had to stand up for the oppressed. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us good companions and followers of the son of Fatima Zahra, Imam Mahdi, and to expedite his return. We are not complaining, but this is a difficult time for us, the time of occultation, a time to be separated from Ahlul Bayt. This is enough separation. If we do not bring the son of Fatima for us, our lives will be wasted. We will not be able to have true guidance, for him to speak to us, for him to do tarbiyat of us, for him to raise us in our potential, inshallah. Ya Allah, have rahmat on all the marhumeen, inshallah. Forgive the sins, especially of you, of the family members of you. Ya Allah, we ask you, inshallah, to cure all those that are sick, bihaqq Fatima alayhi salam, and give us protection of our iman, inshallah. Please recite a Fatiha for all those that are marhum after a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah.
Brothers, please stand for Fatemiyyah.
روی لبها نور و قدر و کوثر و طه، ذکر نورانی عاشقها، تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. الله اکبر این همه جلا، الله اکبر این همه شکوه، الله اکبر در راه علی. فاطمه ایستاده مثل یکو، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه. روی لبها نور و قدر و کوثر و طه، ذکر نورانی عاشقها، تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. الله اکبر این همه جلا، الله اکبر این همه شکوه، الله اکبر در راه علی. فاطمه ایستاده مثل یکو، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه، صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه. میدونم که راز شهادت این اشکا، رنگ خدا میگیرم من با تسبیحات حضرت زهرا. الحمدلله که نوکرتم، الحمدلله که مادرمی، الحمدلله از بچگیام ما در سایه روی سرمی صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه صلی الله علیک صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه 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 از غصه ها چشم عاشقا شده دریا روزه بعد نماز ما تسبیحات حضرت زهرا سبحان الله باغ بهشت دو سبحان الله از لحظه ورود سبحان الله پیش چشم علی آیه های کوثر شده کبود صلی الله علیک یا فاطمه 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 صلی الله علیک
Known up in the skies, well before your birth, you outdo the woman of the heavens and the earth. Known up in the skies, well before your birth, you outdo the woman of the heavens and the earth. Your name glows on the throne of the Most High. You're the reason that we're breathing, no one can deny. Every morning and night for you, we bow our heads in gratitude. Every morning and night for you, we bow our heads in gratitude. Through our mother, we learned how to reach the gardens of servitude. Flower of Nabi, Zahra, power of Ali, Zahra, our remedy, Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, call of Ali, 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 Ya Bravely you stood for he whom God adores. True love meaning coming between the wall and the door. In the way of love and for justice sake, you saw the truth, knew what to do, the right step to take. What a tulip that you became, with your petals scattered galore. What a tulip that you became, with your petals scattered galore. Only Ali was on your mind as you lay wounded on the floor. Love like no other, Zahra, just like her father, Zahra, best of the mothers, Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, call of Ali, Ya Zahra. Zahra, call of Aliyah, call of Aliyah, Zahra, call of Aliyah, Zahra. In this house you raised all 11 guides. In this house you raised all 11 guides. Their every move they learned from you, students at your side. What a great teacher and noble mother. From Medina to Karbala, you were their cover. Every time your Hussein would fall, he would find himself in your lap. Every time your Hussein would fall, he would find himself in your lap. Remember what you learned that night. You get back up after each slap, stronger than mountains. Zahra, she is the fountain. Zahra, owner of heaven. Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, call of Ali, Ya Zahra. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah, la ilaha illallah. عليا ولي الله نادى علي يا مظهر العجائب نادى علي تجده عونا لك في النوائب كل هم وغم سينجلي كل هم بعظمتك بعظمتك بنبوتك بنبوتك بولايتك علي 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 اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها بعدد ما أحاط به علمك اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه في هذه الساعة وليا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
Yeah. Hajj Kauthar would like to make an announcement, so if you guys can please just stay with us just for a little bit, and then we'll have, inshallah, food served to go.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. May God reward you, inshallah, for being in the attendance of the majlis to mourn Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. I want to make an announcement, some exciting news that we have, and talk about some of the things that are happening at Yasin. There's more news to follow. We'll make a kind of a formal announcement regarding this. But as you know, the pandemic has been pretty difficult on everybody, especially in the around the country in the LA area for religious communities, and that also includes Yasin. It's been very difficult to get people to start coming back to the masajid, and now we see that people are slowly coming back. Community members are slowly getting together, and it's a great blessing from God that we're all able to come back here and congregate. Yasin has started the Sunday school. As you know, Brother Ibrahim is working very hard with some volunteers to get the Sunday school going for the kids. The pandemic has been a huge difficulty for the children in the community. It's been really difficult for them. That socialization that the children need, that's essential for them, and for children being able to connect with other children and families of mu'mineen is so important. So that's happening on Sunday. I just want to let everybody know and remind everybody in case anyone doesn't know. The second thing is that I want everybody to know that Yasin is moving forward with activities. As we see the events happening in the community and happening in the world, we're seeing waves of this. We're seeing now that there's a new virus threat, and we don't know how long this is going to go for. This may go for 2 years. This may go for 4 years. This may go for 5 years. And what's important, though, is that we congregate and we have institutions for not only our children's iman as they're growing up, but for ourselves. You know, it's very easy in this country, because we don't live in Muslim communities, it's very easy for us to fall into a state of ghafla and to forget. And if we don't come to the masjid is such a blessing, because we come here and we're reminded of what our duty is. We're reminded about our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we want everyone in the community to know that it's about the people here, and it's very important that we congregate and everybody knows that Yasin is open. So please tell everybody. The other thing is, please volunteer. Please come forward and volunteer. I'm not saying this as a way of begging people. I'm saying this as a way of inviting people. Because, to come and volunteer, we need to create that spirit in our community of volunteering to be a servant of Fatima Zahra, volunteering to be a servant of Imam Ali alayhi salam. This is not only a duty for us, but it's a blessing for us. In the last 1.5 to 2 years, we were really deprived of that blessing. Most institutions complain, they say, oh, we don't have volunteers, we don't have volunteers. And even me, sometimes myself, I'm saying, oh my gosh, there's this event for Yasin, or there's this responsibility for Yasin. Until God just takes it all away. Right? And we don't even have the opportunity to do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. So please invite people to volunteer. It's a blessing for them, it's a blessing for the center. The third thing is the most exciting announcement I have to make is that the Yasin trustees and board has asked Sayyid Payam Razavian to be the resident alim for Yasin. And he's going to be coming to the Sunday school, interacting with the children. He is you're going to see him around Yasin a lot more, as much as time permits. Inshallah, as much as Allah gives him tawfiq to do so. I just want to say a couple of words. I've known Sayyid Payam for over 20 years. So I've known him for a very long time. I trust him more than 100%, more than I trust myself with Yasin. So I'm not going to talk about his qualifications and all of those things. That's already been said before, but we're very, very blessed to have him in this community. And we're very blessed to have his presence, of his knowledge and his taqwa. Please take advantage of this in a good way. Please gain knowledge from him. If you haven't met him yet, please feel free to introduce yourself to him. Come up and talk to him. Again, I just wanted to make that announcement. There's a formal announcement coming out soon about this. There's going to be kind of office hours where he's going to be at the center, where people can come to the center and ask questions and speak to him. Yes, David. And every Thursday he is speaking here, and he will be here every other Sunday, I believe. And there's some additional announcements we'll be making about activities with the kids and activities with the young people. And so this is a great blessing for us. So please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.